One day, the WNBA was everywhere. Timelines buzzing, debate shows looping the same highlight, ticket links getting hammered. And then, almost overnight, the noise went quiet. Not silent, but thinner, like the volume knob got nudged down when nobody noticed. Some say it was just the ripple effect of one superstar's absence. Others argue it exposed something deeper about how fragile attention can be when an entire league leans too heavily on a single face. The truth is more complicated. The league didn't vanish, but the narrative shifted. When narratives shift, they reshape perception faster than box scores or attendance numbers ever could. Understanding why the spotlight dimmed, and what it means for players, owners, and fans, reveals a bigger story about power, media, and the future of women's basketball itself. Caitlin Clark's arrival was nothing short of a seismic jolt. She carried her college legend into the pros without losing altitude, pulling in crowds, broadcasters, and endless clips across social feeds. Every night felt like an event, and for the first time in decades, casual fans made space on their calendars for WNBA tip-offs. Her presence wasn't just a star boost, it was proof that a single player could rewrite the league's relevance in real time. When she went down with a right groin injury in mid-July and was later ruled out for the season, the ripple was instant. Highlights slowed, storylines thinned, and the easy hooks that networks loved disappeared. Audiences who had built habits around her games faced a choice: stick with the broader league or drift until she returned. The sudden void made the ecosystem feel fragile, like everything was leaning on one pillar. While the headlines screamed collapse, the numbers painted a different picture. Ratings across the 2025 season actually rose by about 3% overall. ESPN and ABC broadcasts averaged around 1.3 million viewers, which was up 6% from the year before. Even without Clark on the floor, multiple playoff games still cleared the million-viewer mark. Merchandise sales slowed, but not to the point of total abandonment, and ticket sales in select markets stayed surprisingly steady. It wasn't the unstoppable growth curve fans had dreamed of, but it wasn't the implosion the loudest voices suggested either. The problem was never that the league had no audience. The problem was that perception moves faster than reality. A million viewers on paper can feel small compared to one viral clip dominating feeds. Casual observers don't read Nielsen reports. They scroll, they share, and they believe the story the loudest voices tell. The WNBA's baseline was holding, but the narrative of decline became louder than the data showing resilience. Sports today are as much about what's said off the court as what happens on it. Pundits and personalities can tilt perception with a single analogy. Colin Cowherd framed Caitlin Clark as the league's equivalent of Tiger Woods, declaring that without her, the WNBA's mainstream presence would vanish. Jason Whitlock went further, blasting the culture around the league and accusing players of arrogance and entitlement. These takes spread quickly, each clip racking up views far beyond the WNBA's usual orbit. These voices don't decide what airs on ESPN or CBS, but they do shape what advertisers, executives, and casual fans think is happening. When every debate show reduces a league to one player, the perception of fragility becomes reality in the public mind. Sponsors read the chatter and start asking questions. Executives who once allocated studio minutes shift their focus. The megaphone drowns out the numbers, and soon enough the narrative of collapse takes hold whether it's accurate or not. It's important to separate rights from attention. The WNBA's broadcasting rights were never pulled. ESPN and ABC remain the backbone of coverage, and ION and CBS continue to carry regular season windows. ESPN even signed an 11-year extension beginning in 2026. Those deals are paperwork, and they don't vanish because of one injury. Fox Sports was never a rights holder, only a talk show amplifier. Coverage didn't collapse. It shifted in tone and visibility. Attention, on the other hand, is fickle. When a star is active, segments stretch, clips trend, and advertisers lean in. When she's gone, producers shrink airtime and chase other stories. Fans interpret this as abandonment, but it's simply the ruthless math of programming. Every second has to earn its place. The rights are still locked in, but the oxygen that makes highlights viral is rationed based on heat. That is the gap between perception and legal reality. The timing of Clark's injury collided with the most critical moment in years, the collective bargaining agreement. In October 2024, the players opted out of the old deal, accelerating the expiration to the end of the 2025 season. This was supposed to be their moment to capitalize on momentum. Attendance was climbing, sponsorships were multiplying, and expansion was underway. The players wanted salaries, benefits, and resources that matched the league's new trajectory. Owners saw it differently. For them, spikes don't prove sustainability. They worried about handing out large commitments tied to a single surge. The absence of Clark gave them a stronger argument. If one injury can dent the narrative this badly, how can they justify major financial jumps? Negotiations became less about hard data and more about who could tell the stronger story. Were the players on the verge of a breakthrough? Or was the league still too fragile to demand long-term guarantees? Fans weren't content with surface-level answers. They began asking harder questions about the Indiana Fever and the league itself. Did the team manage Clark's minutes properly? Did referees allow too much physicality? Was her protection prioritized enough by coaches and executives? Every hard foul and every moment she grimaced on the court was replayed with suspicion. Some supporters went further, spinning theories that the league itself benefited from her absence heading into tough negotiations. There is no evidence to support those claims, but perception often ignores evidence. The WNBA has long walked a tightrope between maximizing star power and preserving athlete health. When a megastar goes down, the incentives around those decisions are scrutinized. The optics alone created fuel for theories that the system failed her, whether intentionally or through negligence. Once those questions spread, they became part of the larger story, eroding trust in both the team and the league. No league can thrive if its entire identity rests on one player. The sustainable model is building rivalries and narratives that weave across markets and seasons. Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and others can all anchor compelling arcs if the league packages them effectively. The blueprint isn't a secret. Create matchups fans. Anticipate, showcase clashes of style and personality, and keep the spotlight distributed. The NBA learned this long ago. LeBron James drives headlines, but rivalries like Lakers-Celtics or Warriors-Cavs carry just as much weight. The encouraging news is that even without Clark, the WNBA's average ratings stayed higher than expected. That proves there's an audience willing to show up, but they need multiple on-ramps into the product. A diversified storyline reduces vulnerability and strengthens bargaining power. Fans don't just want to watch Clark, they want to see her challenged, supported, and rivaled. Building a coastline of stars instead of one lighthouse is the path to stability. The WNBA now faces two risks. The first is overreaction, chasing every spike and doubling down on a single star the moment she returns. That strategy brings short-term visibility, but leaves the league vulnerable to the same collapse whenever that star is unavailable. The second is underreaction, pretending the reliance on Clark was never an issue. That would ignore the lesson her injury exposed, that a league cannot be perceived as healthy if its momentum stops with one absence. The optimal path is measured. Build consistent national windows, strengthen cross-promotion with NBA broadcasts, and deliver storylines fans can follow without checking schedules daily. At the same time, fix the infrastructure behind the scenes, player travel, recovery, and health standards that ensure availability and reduce attrition. These are not glamorous changes, but they directly affect the product fans see. Protecting players protects the league's long-term stability. The spotlight did dim, but the league didn't collapse. What really happened was a test of adhesion. Star-driven surges create visibility. Sustained interest requires league-wide storytelling. The WNBA proved it can spike with the right magnet. The challenge is proving it can maintain attention without leaning on one face. Surges and adhesion must coexist for long-term growth. The encouraging reality is that the baseline improved compared to past years. That means the audience floor is higher than it used to be, even if the ceiling is lower without Clark. This isn't a collapse, it's a crossroad. Build on the stronger floor or risk letting perception drag the conversation back to irrelevance. That choice belongs not just to owners and players, but to fans and the wider media ecosystem. The WNBA's future will not be written in boardrooms alone. It will be decided by fans who show up, share, and demand a bigger spotlight. Algorithms track appetite. When people subscribe, like, and comment, the conversation grows louder. When they go silent, coverage shrinks. The simplest act of engagement can change how executives value the product. If you've stayed with this breakdown, here's how you can help us keep digging deeper. Subscribe to this channel. Your support ensures we can keep producing long-form stories that cut through the noise. Like the video if you found it valuable. It tells the platform that women's basketball deserves attention. Leave a comment with the matchups, players, or controversies you want us to cover next. We build content from your ideas. And don't stop there. Head to basketplay.online to join our free newsletter and download our free guide. You'll get exclusive women's basketball updates, behind-the-scenes insights, and tools to follow the game like an expert. Every click, every share, and every sign-up matters. With your help, we can build a platform that refuses to let the spotlight flicker. Subscribe, like, comment, and grab the free guide at basketplay.online. Together, we can make sure this conversation stays loud enough to shape the future of the game.